Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport, Malaysia, heading to Beijing, China on Saturday, March 8, 2014. But as it entered the South China Sea, it took a sudden turn to the west, and its radio signal was soon after lost. Why the flight took such a sudden turn to the west, its current location, and why the crew didn't put out any distress signal is still a mystery to the world. There have been a number of theories put forward trying to address the incident, ranging from engine failures to a terrorist hijacking. The only facts that are known for sure are that there were 239 people on board the flight in total, and that they are all almost certainly dead.
The Eurozone economy ended 2014 with its worst quarter in over a year. France, the United Kingdom, and Italy are in economic distress, and Germany, the largest contributor to the European economy, has had a stuttering performance and is on the verge of collapse. The large government programs in Europe have continued to grow, and the European economy continues to get worse. Either the European governments will have to stop their government programs, or the large debt that they have acquired will sink their economy deeper into the hole that they have dug.
Over the past several months, the price for oil has continuously dropped from over $100 to less than $60 per barrel. Even after the rapid price deflation, the costs are still dropping. That's in part due to a rapid increase in production of oil in the US and other nations around the world, paired with falling demand. This is great for consumers, but disastrous for producers, because as the prices fall, their profits fall. Countries that are dependent on oil production, such as Russia and Venezuela, have been hit the hardest, and unrest in those nations is on the rise. Economists are now speculating that the falling oil prices are signaling an end to global financial growth and a start to financial recession.
Protests in Hong Kong began in September 2014 after Beijing announced that the citizens of the city could only vote for politicians that have been approved by the central Chinese government. Many of the Hong Kong residents feel that Beijing is overstepping their limits and infringing on the rights of the people. The amount of protesters can exceed 100,000 at any given time, sparking fear and concern from the central government. In response to the protests, Chinese police forces have been clearing the demonstrations with riot teams and tear gas. Although there has been a strong police presence, as well as many threats made on behalf of the government, the protests remain intact and more popular than ever.
In March of last year, the Russian Federation annexed Crimea, a region of Ukraine, as the result of a referendum. The annexation of Crimea followed the Russian invasion and takeover of the region in support by the pro-Russian separatists who have waged a civil war all throughout Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin is expressing joy now that Russia has been reunited with its long-lost province, while the West is in outrage over Russian imperialism. Cold War mentalities are slowly being brought back to the world as the East and West are in a standoff over the rest of the situation in the war-torn nation of Ukraine.
In April of 2014, the Nigerian Islamist extremist group known as Boko Haram kidnapped over 300 girls, of which 276 still remain in captivity. The leaders of the terrorist group claim that they are going to sell the girls as wives and sex slaves to anybody willing to buy, and that some have allegedly already been sold. The Nigerian military has been too slow in rescuing the girls, which has sparked outrage in major Nigerian cities. No other nations have been willing to militarily intervene yet, and it is still becoming more and more unclear as to what the fate of the young girls will be.
In July of 2014, Israel sent troops into the Gaza Strip to start an occupation of the stretch of land. The invasion was in response to the kidnapping of Israeli soldiers by Palestinian terrorists operating out of the Gaza Strip. The terrorists have been launching rockets at Israeli cities for years, and hasn't prompted any major response until the invasion. The primary objective of Israeli forces was to destroy the tunnels that the terrorists have dug from the Gaza Strip leading into Israel. Over the course of the invasion, thousands of Palestinian civilians have been killed, leading to international outrage. After weeks of intensive fighting, a ceasefire has been agreed upon by the two opposing sides, and up to this day it is still intact.
After yet another round of negotiations, international diplomats will leave Austria without a deal on Iran's nuclear program. Ever since discoveries were made about Iran's secret nuclear program in 2002, the international community has been reacting with severe backlash, putting heavy sanctions on the country. Iranian officials have claimed they are using their program for development of more efficient energy, although the world remains skeptical. Negotiations on Iran's nuclear program started in Geneva, Switzerland in 2014, although they have been suspended a dozen times and very little progress has been made by either side.
In January 2014, a group of radical Islamists known as the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or ISIL, started a civil war in both Iraq and Syria, and within months occupied about a third of both countries. ISIL was able to grow in power due to the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Iraq in 2011, paired with the Syrian civil war. In response to the Islamist threat, President Obama announced a coalition strategy of airstrikes and military advisory to the Iraqi military in September of 2014. The growth of ISIL has been halted by an international effort, although very little progress has been made to push the group back. Many world leaders are now suggesting the new war in Iraq has the potential to last years.
Ebola virus has been around since 1976 when it was first identified by the World Health Organization. However, in March of last year, the virus has had a devastating outbreak which originated in Guinea. Since then, it has spread to various surrounding African nations such as Liberia and Sierra Leone, and has killed as many as 8,000 people. The virus has since spread to multiple countries outside of Africa, including the US, although the virus appears to have been controlled by those countries affected.